Live from his mother's basement, the world according to Shaka.
Sun shining hotter than it used to be.
Woo! Now that's a Shaka.
There ain't no more fish in the sea.
Live from my basement.
And we never really know what to believe.
So cool.
It don't make sense if it's on TV.
I don't need that. I don't need that either.
We're gonna solve the world's problems.
You worry what's down.
It's a light, and you can link it. We're gonna bring peace to the planet. I can save the world with baking soda.
Down with a hell of a story.
We're gonna make heaven on earth. And that's just the start.
So without further ado, let's show some warmth for Jimmy Shaka.
Hey, Dubs.
Hey, Scoot.
You know what? We're rolling. I'm Jimmy Shaka. I'm here with the legendary Robert De Niro.
He's a pisser.
And Tom Mercante. What's going on, guys?
What's up, y'all?
No, I'm here with Arthur Mercante and Tom Mercante. Sons of legendary Arthur Mercante. Senior. So, all right. So the story is, for those who don't know, Arthur is being inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame as referee, right?
Yes, New York State Boxing Hall of Fame.
New York State Boxing Hall of Fame. And it's the first. Your father, right? You guys' father was also in the Hall of Fame, right? New York State Hall of Fame.
He's in the International Boxing Hall of Fame, which is the main boxing Hall of Fame, and he's in the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame.
Okay,
that's the one I'm getting inducted into, the New York State Boxing Hall of Fame.
That's great.
One day I hope to catch up to my father and get inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
Okay, so he's also in the New York State Hall of Fame.
He's in. My dad, if I stand to be corrected, he's in 5 Hall of Fames.
Wow.
The International Boxing Hall of Fame, the California Boxing Hall of Fame, New York Athletic Club Hall of Fame, New York State Boxing Hall of Fame, and a Kings Point Hall of Fame.
Wow. He's yeah. And this is the first time father and son were ever inducted. Is that right?
First father and son referee team being inducted in.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. And you guys never actually worked together, right?
Yes, we have. Matter of fact, my most memorable moment was my dad was 81, and we worked at Radio City Music Hall. He did the main event, which was Roy Jones Jr. and David Telesco. I did an undercard fight, which was a heavyweight fight, Derek Jefferson and David Izon. And I work at Radio City Music Hall as a stagehand.
Right.
And did I hear it from my coworkers the next day? You know how coworkers could be. You know, your father at 81 years old, he moves around the ring better than you do. But that was one of my most memorable moments working with my father. And then I went on to do some great fights. Matter of fact, I think my brother Thomas, who is sitting here with us today, was at that fight watching from the rafters with my buddies on the fly floor, they call it, the crew.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing of that story is that our father was refereeing at 81 years old. And I don't know if you know what it takes to be a referee.
Well,
you're running around a ring for 45 minutes, taking these 6'2" monstrosities, 240 pounds, and separating them. And he was 5'6", in great shape, but he was 81. And where are most people at 81 right now?
Right.
If they're alive, they're probably in an old folks' home, but they're not running around a ring for 45 minutes. So me being a chiropractor, that's the lifestyle I preach. If you want to live a long, healthy life, you got to take care of your frame.
Absolutely. And I mean, that was also how you guys were raised, though, too. Like, I remember when we went to your house in Garden City, there was a chin-up bar on the way to the kitchen.
Yeah. And
as soon as Tom walked in, he did, I don't know how many chin-ups you did or whatever, but he went right to the chin-up bar. And I don't know if you told the story or your dad told the story that that was part of the rules of the house or something.
15 chin-ups before dinner, or you had to go to bed without eating.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We didn't have, growing up as kids, we didn't have an alarm clock. Our wake-up call was I had a chin bar outside my bedroom door, and the squeak of the chin bar. My father was on the chin bar doing chin-ups at 7 in the morning. You knew it was time to get up and get ready for school.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So, and I mean basically the whole family is like, and your dad was always into fitness.
Oh yeah, he was.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
We're in Long Island. There's a Sun and Surf Beach Club.
Yeah.
And my father used to teach calisthenics in the sand to all the people who were members of Sun and Surf Beach Club.
Right.
He used to get out there on a platform, stand there, do jumping jacks, get everybody to do it, push-ups, sit-ups.
You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of, I don't know if you remember, well, you guys will remember. I don't know if everyone remember. Jack LaLanne. Remember
Well, that's
Jack
what they
LaLanne?
used to call my father. Yeah, Jack.
Yeah,
LaLanne,
yeah. He was like he was like that. I mean, again, Jack LaLanne is pulling boats with his teeth on his 80th birthday, right? And
Jack LaLanne was a chiropractor, so he maintained his frame.
Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So Dr. Tom, right? Tom Mercante is a chiropractor in Charleston, South Carolina, and always been, just your whole life, you've always been into physical fitness, right? I mean, obviously, it's like it was part of the upbringing. You didn't have, you had no choice, right?
It's like the Patriot way. It was the Mercante way.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like my father, me following his footsteps. I got a tough pair of shoes to fit here. He always instilled in me, make sure you work out, take care of yourself, and that's what I do every day. I try and get 4 or 5 days in a week of working out and taking care of myself.
Right. Now this is probably going to get edited out, but how did Glenn survive? Did he do chin-ups too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah?
Let me tell you. Well,
okay.
Like I said,
Glenn's one of the other brothers, but he's not into physical fitness or anything.
Well, back in the day he was, because like I'm going to mention, as I'm getting inducted in on Sunday, April 28th at a place called Russo's on the Bay.
Okay.
And all my brothers, which is great, they're coming in to support me. But when I went off to junior high school, my 2 older brothers, Glenn and Jimmy, were outstanding wrestlers. And everybody says, Glenn?
Is that right?
I said, yeah, my brother Glenn was an unbelievable wrestler, undefeated, everything, my brother Jimmy. So the wrestling coach grabs a hold of me and says, you're a Mercante, you're joining the wrestling team. I said, okay, fine, coach, I'll join. Well, I get on the mat, this kid throws me down, I get up and start punching the hell out of him. The coach runs out onto the mat and says, Mercante, this isn't boxing. I said, well, coach, I guess I'm done. I'm like my 2 older brothers.
Yeah.
So I went over to the local gym where my father taught and took up boxing.
Oh, yeah, you did. You actually did box.
Yeah, I fought in I went on to fight in the Golden Gloves. I was 17. 1976, I fought in the New York Golden Gloves and lost to a fellow by the name of Juan Laporte, who went on to become featherweight champ of the world.
Wow.
And I went home and told my dad, look, I beat this kid. I want to turn pro. My father says, listen, you don't even like to, it was only 3 rounds. You don't even like to do road work. If you want to stay involved in boxing, I'll be becoming a referee.
Yeah.
And that's how I got involved in refereeing. I took up refereeing.
Road work meaning like running.
Yeah.
And
I was lazy.
6 a.m. Rocky drinking the eggs out of the glass.
Right. Well, all right. But I want to kind of set it up for everybody who's listening. Like I said, your father. First of all, we're here celebrating the fact that you're getting into the Hall of Fame, which is awesome, right? But none of us would be doing this if your dad didn't do what he did, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So Arthur Mercante, if you guys look up Arthur. Now he was just Arthur Mercante. He wasn't senior, like in his title.
He went as senior, and I went as Arthur Mercante.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I took up refereeing, he stayed as senior, and I just Arthur Mercante.
Oh, okay.
No junior. I don't like here at 60 years old. I don't want to be called junior. The rest of
junior.
My life.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Okay, so if you look up Arthur Mercante Senior, right, you'll see some of the greatest fights in the history of boxing. All right. Ali Frazier won. Right. What are some of the other fights he did?
1976. He did Ali Norton. But before then was Ignemar Johansson, Floyd Patterson, the second of the rematch they had.
Okay.
He did Foreman Frazier.
Foreman Frazier.
Down go. Hal Cosell was the commentator. That's
Yeah.
when Frazier went down like 4 or 5 times in one round, and Hal Cosell goes, "Down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier." That was like the big thing.
Right.
But the funny thing was, you mentioned Ollie Norton.
Yeah.
Yankee Stadium. Tell it.
In 1976, like I mentioned before, my father refereed Ali Norton.
Yeah.
In the old Yankee Stadium, that was.
Only
and
fight
here,
ever, right?
here, the only fight that was held there until when I refereed in the new Yankee Stadium, which was Mikel Cotto, Yuri Foreman.
Now this is in the middle of the stadium, like
the
pitcher's
Beatles.
Yeah,
mound.
they set it up right. You're absolutely right,
the Beatles.
Shaka. They set it up like right behind the pitcher's mound. They set the ring up. It was actually may have been like out in center field, kind of. They had it set up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy, and it was a good crowd. It was like
It didn't draw that well for some reason. I mean,
Yeah.
Cotto was the name, Spanish kid, always
Yeah.
fought in Puerto Rican the day before Puerto Rican Day. He was in
Yeah.
the Puerto Rican Day parade all the time. It didn't have the crowd that they wanted it to be, but it was a real fight crowd that was there. It was great to work in there after my father worked in the old stadium
Yeah.
in 1976.
yeah, that's neat. And your dad. I remember your dad told a story about doing Ali Frazier, where he worked at a brewery,
Yes.
right?
Rangold Brewery.
Rangold.
Yeah.
My grandfather worked
Well,
there.
he
They
worked
probably
at two.
knew each other actually.
First it was Rangold, and then
Schaefer.
it was Schaefer first, and then
Schaefer.
Rangold Brewery. But at
What-
the time of Ali
was it
Norton,
Schlitz at one time?
Ali Frazier was Schaefer. No, he was he with the town at that time? By the time,
Yeah, he was with the town.
Yeah.
But, no.
yes, he was with the town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but my grandfather worked. It was in Brooklyn, the brewery.
Yes,
right.
yes,
My
yeah.
grandfather worked at the same brewery, and it was Rheingold, Schaefer. I thought it was
And one of my
Schlitz.
father's stops was one of his sales accounts was Yankee Stadium. So
Yeah.
he'd take me with him sometimes, and I'd go in the locker room, and all the guys would be there. Thurman Munson, Bucky Dent, they'd be all signing baseballs, and like a jerk, I'd go out and play with them and destroy them. Now it'd be worth about $15,000 each.
Right.
I do have a couple of balls left over, but I went on. I went on some of the sales calls with him, and we'd always go to Nathan's and get a hot dog,
Yeah.
and then we'd go to Yankee Stadium, and they were practicing, and in the locker room, they'd all be signing balls for me. It was pretty cool.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's great. And now that had nothing to do with him doing the ref thing. That was just because he had the route for the brewery.
Yeah, well,
Right.
referees, they think referees make money. Referees don't make money. You have to have another job.
Right.
It's like me.
like singers.
Right. Well, it's like
Well,
me.
how much
with
did that
being
get
a
paid for
state-
the Ali Frazier one? They got paid, but $6 million each. You got
Yeah,
paid $500.
Ali and Frazier got $2.3 million. My father got $750.
Right.
So there
Right.
you go. That's why you had to have another job. It's like myself.
Yeah.
Besides refereeing, I'm a stagehand. You don't make any money
Yeah.
refereeing. It's
Right.
the love of sport.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And that was the story I was actually going to say, was that I thought it was funny how he said, here I am, I referee, the Ali Frazier fight. It's like at the time it was the biggest fight in the world.
Yeah.
And fight's over. I go in the locker room. I take a shower. I go to sleep. I wake up the next morning. I go to the brewery. It's like,
oh yeah, going to work. Yep.
there you go.
Yeah.
Like I got a friend that plays Jimmy Gallagher, amazing guitarist, Long Island guitarist, right? And this guy has this like southern rock kind of feel
Yes.
to him. So here he was playing, and during the day, his regular job, he's a bricklayer, right? But on the weekends he would play in this Leonard Skinner tribute band.
Oh, shoot.
Right, just all over Long
Yeah.
Island, right? And one day, this was maybe about 10 years ago now, but Leonard Skinner was going to do a reunion tour, and they needed a guitarist, right? So they were looking on they actually wound up like looking on YouTube for guitarists, and they see this Leonard Skinner tribute band with my friend Jimmy Gallagher. Next thing he knows, he gets a phone call from Leonard Skinner's management, and they're like, we want you to come down. Okay, they flew him down to Georgia or wherever it was. He auditions. They're like, all right, great. You're gonna do. We have 4 shows lined up, or and They fly him down to I think he was playing Atlanta or something at this giant big stadium. Limousine airport limousines.
All of a sudden.
Right. He wakes up and there's like a limousine at his house, picks him up, takes him to the airport, gets on a plane, limousine to the stadium, plays with Leonard fucking Skinner, right? Gets back in a limo, the plane drops him off. Monday morning, he's back laying bricks.
Yeah. That's it.
There he is.
Yeah. It's the way of life.
That's it. And yeah. That's modern day life or whatever. But you're also how fortunate that you're able to do something you love.
Right, of course.
You know what I mean? Like I'm still the wedding singer, and people say, "Oh, are you singing wedding?" It's a night out.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I'm singing. I'm hanging out with my buddies.
You love what you're
I'm having
doing.
a couple of cocktails. I'm singing, and it's like a night out.
Yeah.
I'm loving what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I always say, as a musician, I feel like I haven't worked a day in my life,
Right.
and I got the bank account to prove it. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So, but I mean, you guys grew up in Glen Cove. I mean, Glen Cove, Garden City. Yeah, Garden City's nice. Yeah. So it could have been that bad.
We had a nice upbringing. It was a good childhood. Good stories.
Yeah.
4 brothers all together, and
See, now I wonder, like today, because everything is so PC and all that stuff, like him getting you guys, you couldn't eat without doing chin-ups. Like, I think that's awesome because you guys all, first of all, the whole family's still in great shape, and you're good people. You're not like punks in the street, or you know what I mean. Growing up,
Right.
You know what I mean.
You stay like my father always preached. You're in the public eye.
Yeah.
You got to,
Respectable.
be respectful. It's like, I'll never forget a story. I worked at the Metropolitan Opera House for 23 years, and I always walked this long corridor to go to work. And there was a security guard, and I always said good morning to him. One morning I come by, he says, "Hey, son, come here a minute. You've been passing here for 20-something years. You're the only guy out of this crew that says good morning to me. You're a gentleman, blah, blah." I didn't know who you were. Your father's famous. You're like your own. I said, "Well, that's why my father always say good morning, even if the guy sweeps the dirt or whatever."
Absolutely.
Always say good morning. Be polite.
Yeah.
Today it's tough. You don't see it's all in your upbringing. My father was tough on us, but he knew respect.
Yeah.
And you knew if you passed the boundary, you were going to get hit. Like you said earlier, today parents can't do that.
Right.
I had a kid today. I was in a ball field watching a kid play ball one day, and he's having an attitude. The mother went out and reprimanded him when he came back to sit down.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Mom, go ahead, hit me." And I'm called child's
Protective services.
Yeah. Again, I'm like, I looked at my wife like,
Yeah.
"This is the way what it's come to."
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's all how you brought up, and it's
Well,
all about
that's-
respect.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was kind of raised the same way. My dad was ex-military. He was a Marine. So there was discipline in the house.
Former Marine is politically correct. You want to be PC, you say?
Yeah.
Former, never ex-Marine, always a former.
Is that right?
I got corrected that way, yeah.
Okay. Former
always a
Marine.
Marine, right?
Always a Marine. Like the guy said, I was in 7-Eleven, and I said, one of my buddies who's a retired Marine, he said, no, it's not retired Marine, it's a former Marine.
Okay.
Well, he said, you want to be politically correct?
Right.
That's what he told me. I mean,
Okay, good. Thanks. Now I know. So that was I grew up with discipline, and I mean, but that was also the generation too. It was normal that kids got slapped. They if they were out of line, especially in Italian families in New York. You know what I mean? That was like par for the course. But I'm not I am like a granola munching hippie, right? I'm all peace all the way. Like I'm not a peaceful guy, so I'm not talking about being abusive, but I do find it interesting how, like I said, you learned discipline,
right.
And I think a lot of people, even like speaking of military people, when you go into the military, bam, it's discipline and
if you can't take it, that's why you see a lot of guys go AWOL. They can't take it, they're out of there.
Yeah.
It's a rough life.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
you want to go in the military, you got to be able to have somebody get in your face, and you got to be able to take it or leave.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but and the thing is that like I said, I stay in shape, but light workout twice a week, yoga once or twice a week, love it, and that's like my getaway, my yoga.
It's a big thing now, yoga.
Yeah, I love it. I call it grown up weed. because I come out of there, I'm like, you're so like
Just connected,
you just
centered,
everything peaceful. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It really is.
So I don't know this question. I'm going to ask my brother. How many fights have you refereed? And then and then the big ones you've done.
I've done 336 fights, 72 title fights. My 3 big ones were probably Lennox Lewis, Ray Mercer, Lennox Lewis Grant, and Lennox Lewis Holyfield. And then I did
That's the Garden, right?
All 3 of those fights were Madison Square Garden.
Right.
Then I did Sugar Ray Leonard, Terry Norris in Madison Square Garden. Yeah, and then Cotto Foreman in Yankee Stadium. Those were some of the biggest, my biggest fights. Yeah.
And then but how often would you do a fight? Was it like once a month?
Well, back
every
in the
week?
day when I first started out, 1984, when I first got licensed, it was like they had fights twice a month in the fell form. Every Thursday was like a night out with the guys. Like guys would go home, hey, honey, we're going to the fight. It's a night out with the guys.
Yeah.
That's how big boxing was back then. Madison Square Garden had their own name. It was Madison Square Garden Boxing, and this fellow Goodman was the last name. He was a promoter, and he ran Madison Square Garden Boxing, and he had like his own team of guys. He got kids from Gleason's gym that were just turning pro, and built up a nice boxing.
So you didn't even have to be a world name.
No,
you just
You they would start off 6-round fights, like Mark Breland, who was a 5-time Golden Glove champ.
Yeah,
went under Goodman, made his pro debut with all the other Olympics because he wouldn't gold medal in the Olympics.
Yeah,
went on to fight in Madison Square Garden. He had his own, like Madison Square Garden had his own kind of boxing, and that's how big it was back then. But now the sport has totally changed. All these kids are turning to the MMA.
Right.
The
That's
boxing isn't as big. It's starting to come back now.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting the right guys. Like you got a promoter, Eddie Hearn from London, who's he's got a simulcast like we're doing here.
Yeah.
It's called The Zone. I'm sure you heard of it.
Okay.
You get a certain amount of fights for a certain amount of money, and it's great. He's trying to get it back to where it was, but it's tough.
Yeah.
You don't have the fighters like you had back in the day.
The MMA, I'm not a fan of that. It's just that's like I'm not. I might as well have just came out of the woods because I don't watch television.
Yeah.
Like I have a television. You saw it here, right? But it's not plugged in.
You're old school.
I just never put the cable in. I have it. It came with the internet.
Yeah.
But I have zero interest in it.
Like you said, this MMA to me, it's like you go to a local bar.
That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a
brawl
brawl
out in the street till somebody gets beat or somebody says I had enough. I mean,
and I mean these guys. You come out of one fight and you're like you're scarred for life.
Yeah.
Like you look at a guy like Muhammad Ali, right? Who's a good-looking guy,
right?
And he stayed a good-looking guy,
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I just went binging on Muhammad Ali fights.
Yeah.
On YouTube. Just what I love about him, and I did 2 binges. I did Ali, and then I did Tyson. Tyson's easy. You can run through binging that in 40 minutes.
Yeah.
Second fight.
Yeah, those fights didn't last too long.
Do you know Here's a question for you. How many Tyson fights did Dad do?
He did Tyson. Huh?
He did Tyson Tubbs.
Wow.
And that was in Japan. Tyson fought in Nassau Coliseum. I don't know if it was a guy McNeely. I think Dad did that. I think
There was the one he did. I saw, like, I was just on YouTube and I was just flipping through, and it said, you know, Tyson's greatest knockouts, and Dad actually refereed. I didn't know one in New Hampshire.
Yeah.
It was New Hampshire guy from
was
Boston, and it was the guy, I forgot his name, but the guy came out all pumped up like he was talking smack and everything, and Tyson just knocked this guy silly.
Yeah.
It's silly.
Yeah.
He was so much fun to watch.
They feared him. Like when I said he fought Michael Spinks was probably, you know, nervous even walking in the ring.
He lost the fight before he even got in the ring.
Yeah. So many guys, and that's the other thing is, and I'm sure you see the psychology, like when the guys when they face off, right?
Well, here, like I did the amateurs, I did the Junior Olympics. I was 24, went to Colorado Springs. I was on the plane with Mike. We're sitting together, going.
And he knew you. He knew you.
Oh, he knew me. He knew the history of boxing. He knew some of the fights he was telling me. I'm like, my father did that fight.
Wow.
Yeah, your father did. Mentioned fights that I don't remember. He was a
student.
historian.
He was a
He was a big fan of my father. Big fan.
Yeah, he would sit there with Customano and watch tapes.
Right.
So he knew every fighters' names, who was the referee. But what I was getting at was, now we're in the Junior Olympics, and he's fighting a kid. As a referee, a New York referee, if that fellow was from your local town or your city, you couldn't referee. So I didn't get to referee his fight. So I'm sitting ringside, and a big kid, must have been about 6'7", gets in the ring from like Oklahoma. I said, holy mackerels. So Mike comes out, crouches down in that low stance there, comes up with a leaping left hook, knocks this kid down, a fellow sitting next to me. He said, holy shit. I said, holy shit, you're right. He said, that's my boy. It was the guy's son. He said to me, I want the gloves off him. I said, look, I'm just a referee.
He was the other guy?
The kid who Tyson knocked out cold in 8 seconds. His father's sitting next to me.
Yeah.
So now Mike, the story goes, Mike comes out, Teddy Atlas is there.
Yeah.
And Mike comes down the ring, and they say to him, Mike, they want the gloves off you. Now, the kid's father's about 7 foot tall. Mike goes, watch what I do. I look at Teddy. Oh, Mike
shit.
takes his hands, goes up, puts his fist in the father's face and says, I knocked your son out with my bare hands. I'll knock you out, too. And we just looked at it and said, okay. But that was Mike. You know, he got a bad rap later on, but I know him to this day. He was just in the city at Radio City Musical.
I don't think he anybody in that fame, you know, in that world of, it doesn't matter if you're a singer, an actor, or whatever, you know, and then add on top of that, I don't mean to interrupt you, but and then add on top of that, this guy's job is to destroy people with his hands,
right?
And then on top of that, you know, you're pumped up, you're young. He's still got these, like, you know, hormone raging young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And throw that in soup and see what comes out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, what happened with Tyson too is everybody had a game plan going into the ring, and then with the first time Tyson hit you, it felt like someone took a sledgehammer and just clocked you over the head full force, and your game plan went out the window. You were running for your life.
I'm fucked.
Yeah, there's only one punch, the fight was over.
There's two guys that had his number, and that was Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield. I mean, that was later on in his career, and Buster Douglas. I mean, I don't. There's something there that Tyson did have. Tyson had Douglas down. And then they were saying about the count, this and that. I'm a referee. I'm not in the ring. You don't know.
Right.
Something with the count. Like, everybody thought that the fight should have been over.
Right.
And the guy redeemed himself, and that's when he got to knock Mike out.
Yeah.
Mike looked silly. He's grabbing for his mouthpiece and all. It's a whole thing. But after the Buster Douglas,
everyone knew where you were when that fight went on. Yeah. He lost. Everyone knew.
You know,
he wasn't the same.
That was.
He wasn't the same after Buster. He was supposed to win the fight.
Yeah.
It's like they guarantee these football teams that are supposed, like when the Patriots played the Giants back in the day. New England was supposed to blow the Giants out, and Eli had a great game, got lucky in there, and beat the Patriots. That day it was Buster Douglas's day, and he beat Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
It was one of the biggest upsets in boxing.
One of the biggest upsets ever, and like you were saying, such a memorable moment.
Where were you when that fight went on? I mean, I can remember, like, vividly where I was. It was just so mind-blowing.
I think I was in Florida at the time. Like, what year was that?
Not sure. It was in the late 80s, but
Early
that was something else.
No, but Tyson also, he was already with, what's his name? Don King. Right? You don't want to go there.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Interesting thing, Don King's getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this weekend, too, with Artie.
Is he?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hey, look,
so how about the Mets?
Don King's done well for boxing. Certain guys he was good with, certain guys he wasn't. But he brought boxing. He loved New York City.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a guy. I think he's from Cleveland. I stand to be corrected, but he that's why he's getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, because he was based out of New York City promoter.
Yeah.
And he's had some great fights in Madison Square Garden, all over New York City. Yankee Stadium was part of his.
Yeah.
I mean, that's Don.
It's funny. Speaking of Dons, like I from watching all these old fights, I never realized that Trump was such a boxing fan.
Yeah, big
like
time.
he's every one of those fights, he was there, and
Got
front
a picture of Marla Maples, Donald Trump, and myself, and my phone. He was at, and I was coming out of the ring. He said, "Junior, come take a picture with me and Marla."
That's nice.
It's Donald Trump. I'm like, okay, fine, yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems. I mean, well, we're all everybody's. He's in the center of everything, but he seems like a real guy. Like a nice
he is.
guy.
He just, he's caught up now. He's the president of the United States, and everybody wants to trash him. And you gotta love. It's like anything. It's like myself. You're gonna get 100 guys that love the way Arthur Mercante Jr. referees. You're gonna get 100 people that don't like the way you referee.
Right.
It's like Donald Trump. You get 100 people that love the way he's running the country, and you're gonna get 100 people that don't love him.
Absolutely.
It's unpredictable with some certain things.
Sure. Sure. I wanted to ask you before I forget. I don't play sports or whatever, but I play things like chess, right? Yeah. And I play. Lately I play against a computer, and I win at one level, right? I'm on this, the first level, and I'm like beating it all the time, right? And then I get to the next level, and I'm like, damn, this guy's good, right? Yeah. Like I'm looking at the skill, whatever, the skill of the opponent, right?
Right.
And are you when you're in the ring, are you like looking like at one guy saying this, this guy's playing you, man, he's or this guy's he's like outwitting you? Like, are you ever looking at the fight that way, or because you have like a specific thing that you have to look for, you don't get involved in the...
You got to be impartial. I mean, hey, look, there's a upcoming kid now. They call him Babyface Adam Kalvansky. He's a Polish kid. Now you look at him, he's like 230, all baby fat or whatever it looks like, and you'd say, what? But the kid, he's 14-0.
Yeah. And
I refereed his fight here in Nassau Coliseum, and he fought a guy that was ripped. I'm like, when that guy took off his robe, I was like, holy mackerels. But this kid, Adam, came out three rounds. I had to jump in and stop it. He beat the guy up that was in a physical specimen. And you're like, you just couldn't believe it.
Right.
You never could judge a guy from what kind of shape he's in. Some of these guys who are a little out of shape, you don't know how they're training.
It's like this
Butterbean.
I was just thinking that. I was just trying to get his name, Butterbean.
He was a king of the 4-rounders, and that's what I get discouraged with sometimes with boxing, like letting a guy like this do that. Fight 4 rounds, build them up, and for his first 10 fights or whatever, have a guy that just might have been sitting in a bar having a drink, put him in there to fight him. It's
right.
It kind of ruins the sport. I mean, it's
so you're saying they give him easy wins because they want to promote him.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, you got to stay impartial at that point.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure when you're in the ring, like, are you ever like looking at one guy like impressed with his skills and and like moves and saying like, wow, like that was impressive.
Well, it's like I refereed a fight with this kid. His name is Peter Quinlan, and it was at Roseland, and he was making his pro debut, and he looked unbelievable. He looked like a Sugar Ray Leonard. I even said to him, "Hey, son, you're on your way. You're going to be a champ one day." And now he's a champ.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice when you see someone young and you're like, this guy's going to do it, and you watch him with their career.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of the beauty of like this age we're in, where, like I said, I could watch Muhammad Ali's entire career, you know, from his first fight, like on YouTube or whatever, you know, and it's fascinating to watch, you know, the arc of and any a musician, comedian, you know, anyone that you're into, like you can watch an entire band from their first binge on their first album to the last album, you know, and I just love doing that, and it's as a musician, it's fascinating to me to watch art. Like you could see in their younger days how it's like they have the raw skills, and then how they fine tune it, you know.
Well, it was like Prince. I mean, here's a guy that I didn't think that he was doing the stuff. He was phenomenal. I mean, there's a guy that started off nothing and built himself up, made it great name for himself. But these guys in it, it's a tough life. I mean, I'm around it like you're around it.
Yeah.
These guys get into the drugs and they can't stop, and
it's a shame. Yeah.
To see a guy like Prince or Michael Jackson, look at even Elvis Presley. I mean, all these guys. You got to wonder what their management does. You don't watch them and see what they're doing. And behind closed doors, you never know.
That's true. And you know, people are people. That's what it is. It's like it's anybody in extraordinary circumstances are still just people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're all just born. We're all just people. These are just people like me and you, but they happen to be in an extraordinary circumstance.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's why people like to watch them, because they kind of live vicariously through them, or how would I handle it in that situation?
You take a guy like Ali, where you see these kids today. Like I teach kids ages 8 to 15 boxing.
Yeah.
And they all want to. You could tell they were watching tapes of Ali, like you said you watched. They carried a left hand low. I said, look, there was only one Ali that can get away with that. Keep your hands up, protect your face at all times. You know? These guys got their hands down here.
I thought he had issues with his arm. Didn't he develop something later on where he couldn't lift his arm? Ali.
Know. Yeah.
No. My father used to hate Ali's form. Like he used to do the rope-a-dope.
Right.
Where he would go against the ropes and he'd let you tire yourself out.
Right.
And he played possum, like he was like hurt and everything.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he just stepped away and bam, 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 bam. You know, he had a certain routine. My father came from the old school where he liked you in the middle of the ring, punching your lights out.
Like be legit.
That's
why.
Go ahead. That's why when you saw our father, when he refereed, like with Ali and Frazier, they were, like he said, Ali was doing the rope-a-dope, but then Frazier tied him up. My father went in there smooth and took his arm under Ali's arm and brought him and made him fight in the center of the ring. He does that more than once or twice in the fight.
Right.
Bring him to the center of the ring instead of let him staying against the ropes. But some guys like to fight against the ropes, so that's what Ali would do. Once my father pulled him to the center, he would work back into the ropes.
Right.
And my father had to keep pulling him out there and try and make the fight happen.
Right.
You know.
I mean, but that was also... That was, I mean, obviously it was tactical on Ali's part.
Right.
But here he is, you know, against like George Foreman, you know, who's throwing trees at him.
Yeah.
He's throwing trees.
He was taking.
You know, and Ali didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know, but so how am I going to survive? You know, what am I going to do? Well, let this guy punch himself out.
And Ali would have an axe.
Yeah.
He would just chip away.
There you go.
Chip away.
There you go.
Chip away, and it's free shall fall.
There you go.
A good book for any boxing fans out there. My father had wrote back in the 80s. It's called Inside the Ropes with Arthur Mercante.
Yeah.
Fantastic read. Like you can't put it down. A lot of stories. A lot of history of boxing. A lot of stories about the fighters.
Honest and truth.
Yeah, very interesting stuff. Good book, Inside the Ropes.
Nice.
You gonna write a book, Artie?
I'm thinking that people have asked me, but you know, I go to see. Boxing books don't really sell.
No.
You know,
It's
it's
a limited
tough.
group of fans.
Yeah,
you know what I
it's-
mean?
it's-
But even again, it might be something you want to do almost as a memoir or as
Yeah.
like, just a diary kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, of your experience. Because you know what, not everyone's going to be doing it, but not everybody sits there and watches. Studies boxing fights, but then here you meet Tyson, and he knew every word,
Right.
every fight and every, like
Yeah,
you said,
yeah.
that like it meant so much to
Historian.
him.
He was a historian. There's a lot of guys
Yeah.
who are like that. Like you had historians in baseball. They can name who won back in 1920s, who won the World Series. There's people
Yeah.
who are like that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah. And so your
impressive.
book, if you wrote that, it might be somebody's favorite book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Excellent. So let's call it a day. I know you got to
You got it, brother.
you got to go do your thing.
It's a pleasure.
Oh,
all the
of
best to
course,
you. All the
of
best.
Of course. It's funny.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
You got it, brother. My younger brother.
It's funny when you said our Father,
Yeah.
art in heaven.
Yeah, right? Art in heaven.
I love this room, man.
Get that? Our Father,
Yeah.
art in heaven, art in heaven.
Yeah.
He doesn't get it.
I got you,
He's
brother.
not a Bible guy.
Yeah.